Hi, welcome. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. I'm waiting for people to get on. We're going to be talking about, many of you have followed the genocide in Gaza after October. I think many of us started realizing that they were going too far, the white phosphorus. And so a young man was asking, his input and rage, and he's such the fucking rage of literally holding on for 600 days, where now people are finally coming to the realization that this is genocide, including some Israeli human rights, which is laughable, but okay, I'll go with that, who have admitted that it's genocide. And what to do with that. And for many of us, and one of the things that I remember distinctly, very, very distinctly, because, I was listening to Daniel Weiss calling them animals, okay? And one of the things I remember was the children carrying their cats, these gorgeous cats. These kids were like 3 years old, 9 years old, teenagers, adults, carrying their cats. I remember one of the walks was so long. I think it was like a 7 or 8 hour walk because they were being displaced at gunpoint. And if you stopped, you'd be sniped. And some people had actually gone through the Nakba, and they were like in their 90s. And these kids were carrying their cats. These beautiful cats that were so well behaved. The cats weren't scratching, they weren't panicking, they weren't trying to escape. They were just in the arms of their owners. And I saw the humor, the playfulness that was still there, because this siege had just begun. I remember the scene of an incredible, fantastic looking man, the profile of a man who was bound down to his underwear. And he was called the Lion. And it was an I don't even know how to fucking, these soldiers, okay? IFO, I'm exhausted with these. IFO soldier, probably 5'8". This guy was probably 6'2", sitting in a chair, nude, bound to the chair, legs bound, I believe, barefoot, staring up at him with defiance. I remember the story of a very butchy lesbian who was Palestinian and said, "I am a male-hating dyke." That's exactly how she put it. I loved her for that. And said, "These Palestinian men have given me back a sense of awe of how incredible these men are." The soul of my soul, the grandfather Khalid, I think it was his birthday was on December 23rd, which was my beloved's birthday, and it was his granddaughter's birthday. The soul of my soul. We never saw one level of bitterness coming out of this man. And there came the cat. A little kitten that had kept them company, orange and white. The incredible gentleness of these people with their horses while snipers sniped their horses, their goats, their sheep. It's in their scripture to actually annihilate anything. The argument is that, and this is also with the Zionist Christians, that it's in the Bible. I'm really losing my shit right now because I'm thinking to myself, you have looked at an Old Testament of an angry, jealous God, and you have followed it for fucking 2,000 years, and you're still not done. And you've never questioned who was this God. When people say, my God, your God, well, my God's better than your God. Can we all agree there's only one creator? But can we also agree that maybe there were some lesser gods or some assholes? I remember Gene Roddenberry did a show in 1968 or 69 of these fake gods, these gods that were like the Greek gods, jealous, petty, envious, revengeful. I think we need to grow up spiritually. I'm not kidding. Because I just saw a grown-ass man, a scholar, supposedly, who broke down. I mean, he never mentioned the Schofield Bible, of course, because that would just, expose everything. But he talked about how most of our president had been Zionist Christians. And how they were willing to sacrifice, and he said it like it was okay, sacrifice human beings to make sure that Yeshua would come. Now, if you have any kind of real relationship with Yeshua, you know that what has been done will definitely not have him come. No one of any level of huge spiritual integrity, an avatar no less, the Son of God even more, right, would ever come and visit this kind of mass sacrifice. Never. And so when many of you who have been following these stories since day one, basically from October 7th, and then you went way, way back of 1948, and I just posted something on Golda Meir saying, I'm a Palestinian, which refutes the argument that there was nothing before they came, number one. And number two, that it was not called Palestine, that there was no infrastructure. Watch the video. Her voice, it's not a quote, it's her voice saying, I'm a Palestinian. I have a Palestinian passport. And so my question tonight was, how do we go from here, right? From this point of view of the Prime Minister Golda Meir to Bibi and his henchmen and the cabinet that think that they will force them to eat dirt before they give them food. And I don't think they were realizing, because they were riding the wave of World War II, and they thought that it made them like the untouchables, I guess. And the problem is that for many of us who watched it from the beginning, and again, I'm going to go back to these babies with their cats. All of you, many of you have cats. And you know how hard it is to feed your cat sometimes when you're broke? Imagine when you're going through a genocide. Creatively trying to figure out how to fucking feed your cat. Get it water. I think when you ask yourself, what do I do with this rage, realizing that I've been following this since the giddy up, and these people are finally on the bandwagon going, oh yeah, I guess you were right, oh shit, and instead of being in a sense of impotent rage, I use that word a lot, okay? Don't be in impotent rage, be in righteous rage, if nothing else. And do lives, do videos, go get some pictures, create your own on AI, and tell the stories of what struck you about the Palestinian people and their courage and their integrity. I've watched what the Zionists teach in that part of the world to their children, okay? How they think that, well, unless you are of that religion, that you are an animal. And I'm not joking, look it up. And that's not anti-anything. It's fucking truth. And I never heard in the whole rolling of old videos, documentaries, 60 Minutes, BBC, Vanessa Redgrave on her documentary that had her blackballed out of Hollywood for like 20 years. Never did I hear hate on that level. Never. And for many of us, we're heartbroken. Because once we hit 100 days to 150 days, and Bizan is still there, I've actually heard people say, it doesn't look like she's starving, it looks like she gained weight. I'm like, okay, are you 12? Because you see, famine creates cortisol, and you get the moon face, and your stomach will actually get inflamed, distended. And your limbs will be skinny. Should I show you like various videos and photos of children in the Sudan, starving. They have an extended stomach. And cortisol will give you a moon face. People are actually making comments that she looks well fed. It's the summer and the woman is wearing layers of clothes. That's a sign of starvation. She's cold. So she's layering her clothes. Most of us are wearing t-shirts or tank tops. There are so many wonderful documentaries that you can watch. The last documentary, I think he was a director, filmmaker, won the Oscars, and then his life was taken by IOF soldiers. What I've seen is a systematic destruction of a culture. And I call on many of you who are Palestinian Americans, Palestinian French, Palestinian Italian, whatever, to really make sure that you protect your culture, to do as much as you can. And frankly, I don't think you need to be Palestinian to honor poets, the dead poets that were writing their poetry during 2024 in Gaza, West Bank. There were poets writing poetry, and to spread their words across the planet, we need to start reading their poetry. Just start reading your poetry. Put a fucking image, you walking, I don't care, whatever. But the more we push, the more the implosion of this weird idea that they have, of this sacrifice they have demanded on innocent people that never, ever were involved in the Holocaust in Germany. To do that to those people who open their hearts and homes, and to be betrayed like that I can't even wrap my head around it. And I will say it again. Watch the documentary Tantura, Tantura. It's important. Or watch excerpts if you can't handle the whole of it. We are really at a good place, believe it or not. Because though you may think that nothing changed, everything has changed. The conversations in the UN, UNICEF, they're changing. People aren't no one gives a shit about the political leaders anymore. They're pushing and pushing and pushing for change. And some of the leaders do have hearts, like the president of Spain, for example, president of Mexico, for another example. And they're capitulating to their people. And the more we push, the more these kinds of horrific, savage annihilation of a people will end. Because really, it's a symbol. You know, we really thought never again meant for everyone. I think we kind of assumed that was a blanket statement for the world. We didn't realize that we had to be specific. Never again for everyone. But I feel as if we're getting to a place on the collective that we are demanding that to be a truth moving forward into the 21st, 22nd, 23rd century and beyond. Never again for anyone. You'll hear people who are talking about colonialism, conquering of land. That's how it's done. And again, I pointed out to one of my lives, I said, it was also considered normal to own slaves way back 2,000 years ago. Not just in America, 2,000 years ago. Romans would own people after they defeated them on the battlefield, and you became a slave. That's a common knowledge. But that doesn't mean that's okay. It doesn't mean that to colonize a people is okay. It doesn't mean to enslaving people is okay, because that's how it was done. And that's just how you end up getting real estate. You go out and you wage war on people to own their land. That should end, and it should have ended in the 20th century. And I think we are the collective voice saying it ends here. It ends here. We can't change what was done, but we will not do it again. And that understanding is the argument that you can have with people who make these stupid fucking asinine statement about, well, that's how you win. That's how you get land. No, that's how we used to get land. We're not animals. We don't do that shit anymore. We're not fucking barbarians. It's demanding the best out of ourselves. It's not tolerating the worst of ourselves played out through other people. And all I could think of when I saw these skeletal children, they're skeletors, is how beautiful they looked when they were displaced and holding their kittens and their cats to their faces and smiling up at the camera shyly. And the beginnings of these engineered famines that Daniel Weiss and her little crew of dogs, rabid dogs, and the cabinet, were determining. Every cabinet member that has tried to shut this shit down has been yelled and called all kinds of names. Every person with a heart that said, no, I will not tolerate this, nor will I support this, has been beaten, humiliated, spat on, and attacked physically. And I don't know about you, but it's very hard to be an individual, one person or maybe two, that's being physically attacked by a mob, whether they're politicians or settlers or whatever. We're almost there. The world has heard every content creator, every person that protested on the streets, every person that wrote an editorial, did a vlog, whatever, however, reposted, did lives. It worked. It's working. And so we continue. We continue. We support each other because today we're all Palestinians. We are the children that the Hopi prophecy saw. We are those rainbow children. We are chameleons. Today I'm Palestinians. Today I'm Sudanese. Today I was born in the Congo. Today I am every race, culture, religion. I speak every language telepathically, if you want to say it that way. And that bond that the Hopis prophesize is emerging. It's a reality. And it's because we had the empathic understanding that though I am not Muslim, Christian, Jewish, I care about you. You matter to me, though I may never meet you. And I will fight for your right to exist, to thrive, though I will never meet you. And that kind of consciousness is extraordinary in a world for over 13,000 years since the fall of Atlantis, where that consciousness was not normalized. Might was right. The victors wrote history. Whole cultures and people, languages, belief systems, philosophies, poetry were lost forever because the conquerors wrote the story. And the story were filled with lies and self-important stories. We're there. And I'm going to say we won. Because in real manifestation power, you don't say we're winning, we won. And I'm so grateful to all of you. Many of you I'll never meet. And I'm grateful for you reposting, talking, pushing, because it continues. It literally implodes brick by brick. You are the water that erodes the rock of arrogance, avarice, and cruelty. And water always wins. Water always wins. It may take time, but you've seen what water creates. The ocean creates sand out of boulders. So we have won. And I want to thank you. Sending you much love on your journey. Namaste. Be well.